Hello, everyone. This is Jeannie White from Passionate World Radio. I'm station manager, and I am a host for Social Connections. And today we are talking again on the Whine and Cheese, where people can come in and speak on any subject that they like. And sometimes we need a place to vent. And today I have Jessica. And Jessica, I welcome you to come on. And I'm turning this over to you now, Jessica.
Okay, great. My name is Jessica. I've been a nurse for about 6 years. Only have worked in the critical care setting, ICU setting. I've had the opportunity to do what's called travel nursing. So I've worked in several different health systems all across the country, and I've seen, quite the variety of patient populations and patient acuity, and then coordinating health systems and how they handle things, their policies or lack thereof. So as I began my nursing career, I think you start off with this notion of, you become a nurse because you want to help people. You want to be there for them in their time of need and care for them. However, there are certain organic or non-organic reasons why patients and family members can become very agitated and violent and turn a situation from a positive to a very negative very quickly. And I think when I began my nursing career, I had several instances in the ICU where, I was punched or kicked or threatened or kind of made to feel unsafe, but in the sense that I was always justifying it. Well, that patient just is waking up from anesthesia, or that patient just found out, they have this kind of terminal diagnosis, or, this family is just under so much stress. This is a disease they've been dealing with for a long time, and that sort of a thing. You sort of, in your nurse mind, kind of justify why your patients act out the way they do. But when you sort of look at these situations objectively, you realize this is still not appropriate behavior, whether or not, they're on a medication that made them act that way or it's part of their disease process. Nurses and other healthcare workers still need to feel safe in their work environment and have a right to working without fear of injury from violent acts. And then in the cases where, it's a patient with without an organic reason, who is really just, in my mind now, I see them as people who act out because they can, because they know they can. They know there's no consequences for their actions. And most recently, so it was about a year and a half ago, I was pretty violently assaulted by a patient, and he tore my rotator cuff. He had a syringe-turned weapon at my neck, threatening to stab me. And it was an instance where I really did fear for my life. I've been, like I said, I've been punched and kicked and threatened, and I've had several life experiences of traveling across the world by myself and things like that. I've been in unsafe situations, but never have I ever feared for my life the way I did that March evening. And it was just, again, one of those circumstances where this patient had several chronic conditions, and I was really working with him, trying to educate him, getting him the services that he needed prior to discharge. And it was just a situation that spiraled out of control because he wanted to be in control. And I was not putting myself in harm's way. At that point in my nursing career, I would realize, it's really not worth it to try to patronize these patients into convincing them to stay. If he wants to go, he can go. I'm not going to stand in his way. I'm not going to stop him. But then that's when the situation turned to he just wanted to be in control, and he wanted to show that he was in control, that anything that happened was going to be what he wanted. And that's when he grabbed me and sort of used me for that purpose. And again, it was just a situation that he could have left. I wasn't stopping him. He could have done whatever he wanted to do. But again, just wanted to use me. And then, unfortunately, our security at that facility was not responsive in the way that I would have hoped. Their main line is de-escalation and not any physical contact. So even though this patient had a hold of me and had a weapon at my neck, their protocol was to not intervene, which was a little frustrating. And then once I had gotten the patient to calm down and get the syringe away from my neck and essentially tore my rotator cuff trying to get away from him, the police department had showed up, the law enforcement had showed up, and in their mind, they see a situation like this and they don't know what to do, because here's this patient, sure, he may have had medications in the past few days that could have affected his judgment and his actions. He's been intermittently confused, that sort of a thing. But at the same time, they took his statement, the patient's statement, as valid, that all he wanted to do was go, yet they were also saying that he's under the influence of medication. So I was trying to reason with them in the sense that, if this happened in the parking lot, or this happened, in a grocery store or something, this would have been considered assault and battery. But because it's happening within hospital walls, for some reason, law enforcement sees this gray line and doesn't know how to act. And that was probably one of the more frustrating things, because I had really hoped that when law enforcement arrived that they were going to be kind of on my side with this sort of thing. But unfortunately that was not the case. And again, it just goes back to this whole notion of impunity, and that patients feel that they can act this way because they can, as Sheila says. Patients will punch or kick or threaten because they can, because they know that there's no consequences to their actions. So I think for me, that's my biggest vote of contention, is trying to draw this line and setting a standard of behavior that this is no longer acceptable, and hospitals are not a place to just act or behave in any way you can without consequences. So I think that's my time.
Okay, Jessica, that was, excellent, really. Thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and, talk about something, an incident or whatever happened to you. This seems to be an ongoing situation for everyone. Mm-hmm. But I want to thank you again for coming and speaking up, because that's the deal. You have to speak up.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Jessica. I want to thank Jessica for being on the show. And this is Jeannie White from Social Connections at Passionate World Radio. If you have any comments or would like to be involved in this segment of Whine Cheese, you can contact me at jwhite7033@comcast.net. Again, everyone, thank you, and maybe way down the road, somebody will call in and help us with the solution. Again, thank you, and have a good day. Bye now.